Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here tonight with the beginning, the very, very brand new, turn my music down, campaign that we are starting this evening. This campaign will be titled Thunder Ridge. This game is going to be using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but it will be run in a homebrewed setting of mine called the Caldera, which is a fantasy western setting. So there will be some rules that will be slightly different in addition to the usual house rules that I use and stuff. But we'll go over all of that here in just a moment. Tonight is session 0, so we're going to go ahead and kind of break the ice a little bit as a group and go over some of the safety tools and things of that nature that we're going to use throughout the course of this campaign. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and give the same warning that I give on the beginning of all of my games, and that is if foul language and mature subject matter are things that you find disturbing, you shouldn't watch anything on my channel at all, including this campaign. Run away. But if those things don't bother you, then come on in. The water's fine. Or scorpion milk, depending on who you ask. All right, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves if they would like, tell you where you may be able to find them on the internet, anything interesting that they might have going on that they want to talk about. And then I think we can get started. So we're going to start with Chad.
There are two of us. Oh,
There are two of you.
hello. Hi there. I'm just gonna assume that's gonna be me. Hi.
I pointed at you, so.
Okay, that's good. Hi everybody. My name is Chad. I'm on numerous channels throughout AbTab, but primarily this one right here, and over at Mini Terrain Domain on Thursdays. You can find me over on that Kids on Bikes campaign that we're doing over there. Very intense stuff going on in the current arc that we're in, so I cannot wait to get back this week. And then let's see, I play over at Roll Call RP on Twitch every Saturday right now, so but that, things are taking a little bit of a hiatus. We're getting kind of reorganized, and I think we're going to come back at it. Otherwise, yeah, I'm very excited for this. I love Caldera. I love this setting. And I love all of these wonderful players that we have amassed together. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what kind of crazy, weird, and wonderful characters we're going to make up tonight.
Yeah, man. Super excited, as always, to have you back on the channel. Yes, your character in Kids on Bikes might be in dire straits, as well as possibly even your character in the Fiasco Clue game. Just never know.
That's true. Yeah, let's be honest. Let's
go for the hat trick.
All games that I play.
That's why it's true.
It's an inevitability that at some point I'm going to throw my hat into danger and something's going to happen.
Walk willingly into that fire, young man.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
violently 100%. Assault. or violently assault and then murder somebody trying to actually help you.
Yeah.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Good NPC.
I have daddy issues, okay? I had just lots of daddy issues.
But yeah, man, I'm really excited to come back to the Caldera too, because I've only had the opportunity to run one-shots in the Caldera since the very first campaign that I got to run there, which was the first thing that I ran here on the channel. It's like a 15-episode campaign, so I'm excited to be able to have the chance to kind of explore a little more and go in the depth into the characters and everything in this. So I'm excited to get to this too. All right. Speaking of excited to get to it, Nathan.
I'm Nathan, also known as Dimension 119. That's pretty much where you can find me on all the socials. If you don't find me right away by searching Dimension 119, just add an underscore between Dimension and 119, and you'll find it that way. I'm a Twitch streamer. I do a variety of games. a lot of tabletop RPG. We play Adventures in Middle Earth every other Wednesday on my channel, and I have a great group going. We started with Curse of Strahd and actually playing 5th edition D&D, and just absolutely loved it. We didn't start streaming right away, but eventually we kind of slowly made our way into streaming without cameras, just audio and Roll20 maps. And then we did a Lord of the Rings stream, kind of a prologue to a campaign that we're doing now. And everyone decided to use cams, and ever since then we did the rest of Curse of Strahd with cams. We did Lord of the Rings with cams now. I've been on Jeremy's channel a few times. Try not to say no if he asks me to be in a game or invites me to join a game. I try not to miss that opportunity. I play Dungeons and Dragons as well over on Jarl of Goat's channel on Wednesday nights, and I do a lot of co-streams of different survival games. We're playing through The Witcher 3. We're playing through Starbound right now on the channel, and we're playing through Baldur's Gate with a co-op stream, playing through Baldur's Gate 3.
Nice. Yeah, very, very jealous of everybody that's getting to play Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't had the chance to pick it up yet, and I've heard nothing but absolutely just stellar things about it. And yeah, I'm trying very hard to avoid as many spoilers as possible, but it is not easy out there, folks.
Oh man, let me tell you what happened. So, I based my entire character backstory on it, so sorry.
Oh, great stuff. Yeah, I'm here for it. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up now. It was lots of fun. Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on, Nate. So come on in, man.
Yeah, you ran a scatter shot for my Curse of Strahd group.
Yeah.
A while back, and I was instantly hooked. I've wanted more Caldera since then, and I got on this weird kick of like dark country western music, that like the kind of country western music that like tells the stories of people.
Yeah.
And I just was talking to Jeremy one day, and I was like, hey man, like if you want to do a Caldera game, like let me know. I want to be a part of it. And it just so happened that you guys were finishing up y'all's campaign, and he was like, I think we're looking to keep the group together. I'll kind of pitch it to the group and see what they're wanting, and I'll let you know. And he gets back to me, and he's like, yeah, that was top of the list already. And I'm like, sounds like it's meant to be. Sign me up.
Yep. Serendipitous. So yeah, man, I'm happy that we're getting some Caldera in your system, as well as bringing you into an already fantastic group. So, all right. Speaking of already fantastic, next up is Todd.
I'm Todd. I'm not sure who I'm playing yet, but yeah, I was part of the old group and happy to be here for this one. I'm not really on the socials as far as everybody else is concerned, so yeah, don't look for me.
Very auspicious. No, man, I was super thrilled whenever all of you started talking about what was next in our Harbinger game, and that you all seemed keen to keep things going just with a different game. So I'm really, really happy that it worked out, that we could bring this together, and that we're finally getting this thing onto its legs. So happy you're here. All right. Speaking of happy that he's here, next up is Glen.
Yes, I'm very happy I'm here. Tired though, so if you see me in dire straits for any reason, it's just a whole lot of crazy weeks catching up to me right now. But looking forward to this game a bunch. You may know me from one of Jeremy's other games, a one-shot of sorts, that we found a way to convince him to do 12 episodes of. Really good game. Had a great time with it. And after that, decided to keep the group together, as we said, and figure out what was next. Found out that Nathan was interested, and we were like, yeah, let's see if his weird meshes with our level of weird, and go from there. So I know what I'm playing and pretty much the name and everything yet, but we'll see what all comes out from session 0, because it's still malleable. figure out where we go from there. But looking forward to it. Oh, and by the way, yeah, social media and stuff. Yeah, you probably could find me if you want, but I don't know why you'd want to. Um, as I say in all the other video intros. But if you are looking for Todd, I did find Todd once, and so that's your first clue.
For all of you internet sleuths out there. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm really, really happy that not only the fact that the original trilogy worked out, where, like you said, our weirdness meshed, and we just happened to be able to actually stand being around each other for longer than 3 sessions, but that you wanted to continue. So I'm very, very happy about that. All right. So next up, yeah. Speaking of very happy about, last but certainly not least, we have other Chad.
Definitely least. Yes, there's a typo above me. It's supposed to say other Chad. For people that are new here, it's other Chad. Okay, that's just how it goes. He always says, "Oh, I assume that I'm Chad. You're Chad, and I'm other Chad." That's just how that's just how it goes. If you don't know that, Chad, I mean, we're cluing you into it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was oblivious for this whole time.
We are starting our new trilogy of trilogies tonight, right? I am always. I have to echo. Yes. I have to echo that I am always welcome, or always pleased to be welcomed at Jeremy's table, virtually, or hopefully someday in person. Hopefully this AtCon thing happens again. But speaking of that stands for Absolute Tabletop. If you've somehow come around here without going through there, you should check it out. Facebook and some other social sites. Absolute Tabletop. That's where you could meet some other people just like this and get in games like this, or maybe even run your own. If you haven't subscribed to Jeremy's channel, there's probably a thingamajig somewhere around here on the thing if you haven't done so yet. I am very excited to try a new setting of Jeremy's that I haven't been to before. I've been to a couple before. Well, no, I guess I did do a one-shot here, but I had some connection issues and I wasn't really a participant. So this time I get to really actually partake in some Caldera. So I'm excited about that. I do have a pretty good idea of what I want to play, but as session 0 unfolds, that could change. So I won't hold you up any further, and I'll let you get right into it. And me on social, we'll figure that out some other time.
Yeah, anybody who mentioned a channel, and maybe even a few people who didn't, you should be able to find a link to them in the description. I try to include all of that stuff in each of these videos, but sometimes things slip through the cracks. If you happen to find out where Todd is, please let me know, and I'll add it to the list as well. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm super thrilled about this.
All they have to do is do a capture of the screen and then do a reverse image search.
See?
Google Lens would find it.
Your OnlyFans page.
Actually, yes. Please subscribe and need money.
Please subscribe and need money.
Yeah, I feel you. All right. So, as I said at the top, Caldera is a fantasy Western setting. It is a homebrew setting that I put together that is a mashup of 2 of my favorite genres. And it works surprisingly well. And I love running this setting. So I was really, really happy that all of you settled on this as the next choice. I mean, I like all of my settings. It's kind of like, choosing between your darlings, but I do really, really like this one. Having the excuse to kind of do a deep dive into it recently has been really good for me. So without further ado, I think we can go ahead and get started. So we are doing, as I said, a session 0. For those out there who may not be aware, what is a session 0? Well, that is essentially just a small gathering where we get together and we make sure that all of us are kind of on the same page as far as what our expectations are, as well as to help ensure that we can help to foster the best experience for all of us during this game. If there are any questions at all as always, please don't hesitate to bring them up or to ask me. If it's something that you're not comfortable asking, either in front of the audience or in front of the gathered group of people at the table, you can send me a private message either through here or through Facebook or what have you, and we will try to find a resolution to it as soon as we possibly can. Thank all of you very, very much for hiring me to run this game. If there's anything that's better than getting the chance to run these games for people who are great players and fun people to hang around, it's getting paid to do it. Especially right now, I am deeply thankful for that opportunity. Surprise! So
we paid you for this?
I do.
Oh man, okay.
I need to talk to you about your Monopoly.
Check is in the mail, right?
Ah, cool.
The pink 100s, while beautiful, are a little questionable.
the pink 100s. Listen, man.
No. Sincerely, I do deeply appreciate it. So thank all of you very much for agreeing to do this. Okay, so the first thing that I want to kind of mention is, of course, the social contract. All of you have played with me before, so I know that you're all aware of this stuff, but we're just going to touch on it anyways, just in case, as well as for those who are at home watching along. We are using the honor system as far as rolling. Like, if you're using digital dice or physical dice, it doesn't really matter to me. Just be honest about it. Don't cheat. You know, it's a pretty obvious thing, but sometimes it needs to be said anyways. So there it is. When you're not talking, if you're in a scene or whatever and you're just not engaged currently with what's going on, try to mute up, just so that it cuts down on distracting white noises in the background, or in the case of if you're in the same room, feedback loops and things like that. It would be hugely appreciated as well. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows how this works. You know, take turns, shine the spotlight on other characters whenever you get the chance. You know, look for opportunities to build on what other people are doing, and that's how all the fun shit gets created in these games. So I know all of you know that, but preach it to the choir anyways. Right. As far as safety tools, we went over this before the Harbinger game, but again, it bears repeating. We will be using breaks the way that we did during the Harbinger game. There will be a break in the middle of the game, roughly in the middle of the game. But if you have need to get up, you know, and take another break, by all means, please do so. You know, I understand that, you know, we all have families, children, pets, you know, biological issues that crop up, and if you need to step away from the game, it's really not a problem. Just avoid turning off your camera if you can. You know, just close the shutter or put a piece of paper over it or something like that, because when you turn off the camera, it jostles position around on the overlay. So if we can avoid that, that would be great. We are also using red light, green light. So, you know, anything that is going on during the game, if there's a sensitive moment or topic that seems like it's kind of being broached, I might ask everybody, just kind of in our side chat, is everybody a green light for this? If you're a green light, say green. If you're not certain about where things are headed, but you're not quite ready to call it quits yet, you can type yellow. If you're done with what the situation is and you really don't want it to go any further, if you find yourself, you know, triggered or having kind of a bad reaction to what's going on, then just say red. You don't have to wait for me to ask. If there's any point where you think that that would be appropriate to bring up, please feel free to either say it or type it in the chat, and we will absolutely correct course. Comfort is one of the things that I try the hardest to foster at my table, and everybody has different needs for that to be realized. So I want that to be out there and for everyone to be aware of it. The other safety tool that we're using are lines and veils. That's a little bit of a way to kind of front load some of those potential triggers and kind of head them off to pass, if you will. So that is included. Both of these, the breakdown of what these are included in the doc that I shared. If you have anything to add to the lines and veils, please be sure to do so, so that we can follow those. Lines are things that you absolutely do not want featured in the game in any way, that you don't want them to be touched on or brought up at all. Veils are things that you're okay with being a part of the game, but that you don't want a strong focus on. One of the things that I did want to bring up in particular about this game in this setting is that sexism and racism were wildly prevalent in the actual Wild West. And while those things may be present in the Caldera, I personally don't want to spend a lot of time representing them on screen, especially in regards to First Nations people. They're a fundamental part of what makes a Western feel like a Western, but I don't want them to be a gimmick in this game and in this setting. So I want all of us to be aware that we need to be mindful of that throughout the course of the game. All right. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about any of the stuff that I've brought up so far?
What about your like the Caldera, like racism within itself, like the actual elves versus?
Yeah, I'm more okay with, like, the fantasy races, like, not being as stringent on that. I just want to avoid real world racism and bringing that into the game, bleed over from that. And again, like, if it comes up here and there, for me, that's more of a veil. Like, if it comes up, it's okay, but I don't want to focus on that as, like, a part of somebody's backstory, or, like, a part of the game that we're going to delve real deep into, or anything like that. So
calling out, like, the bullshit of colonization is greenlit, though. Anyone got an issue with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
For me,
I'm good. Yeah. I think
good.
I'll just, keep me in line if anything goes off. But one of the character ideas that I have is looking to call out, well, not directly, but indirectly, the theme would be there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're talking about bucking the system and, like, fighting back against it, like, I'm good with that. Like, that I am okay with. Awesome. Okay, so I know that, again, all of you have played with me, at least in a trilogy, and I know that you're all probably likely familiar with the way that I like to run my games, but as a reminder, I try to put a lot of focus on the PCs and the story, and I want to make sure to incorporate as much of your input as I possibly can into the plans that I also have. So because of this, I do tend to ask for a bit of homework up front, especially when compared to some GMs. So from each of you, obviously not right now, but before we get to session 1, from each of you, I would like at least one PC connection. So a reason why you have to be running with at least one other person from within the group. At least 2 NPC connections, one of which needs to be an outlaw or a gunslinger that you have a bad history with. The nature of that history can be up to you, but I would like for that to be provided. In addition, also in the Google Doc that I shared out is the COPE list. The COPE is a term that I came up with that stands for the commonalities of player expectations, and that is things like, if you really want to have a bar fight, if you really want to have a stagecoach chase, or a train heist, or a bank robbery, or whatever, something that to you needs to be a part of this game to tick the boxes, to make it feel like the fantasy western that you're expecting, put it on the list. Everything that is on the list that gets mentioned more than once aggregates to the top, making it more likely that it will appear in the game. So if somebody else has already added something, if you go there intending to add bank robbery to the list and you see it's already there, just put a question or a exclamation point in front of it, and that will let me know that it has an additional vote, and that will bump it further up the list. And by doing that, that just gives me the chance, whenever I go back and review that, especially between sessions, to kind of take a temperature and make sure that I'm including the things that are on that list appropriately. Like if something's a number 5 and it hasn't been featured yet, I need to figure out a way to work that into the campaign. Last but certainly not least about that, once everybody finalizes the character that they're going to be playing, I'm going to be drafting up individual questionnaires for each of you. There will probably be about 5 questions or so that'll be tailored to each one of your characters, and then your answers to that will also give me ammunition to hurt you with later. No, I mean, it is true, but does anybody have any questions about that part of things? Nope. Excellent. Okay, so a brief rundown of Caldera. Obviously, again, if there are anything about the document that is unclear or that you have questions about at any time, just shoot me a message. I will get the answers back to you as soon as I can. Anything from the core D&D 5e rulebooks, so the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, DMG, is good to go. It's cleared, with the exception of the section about the firearms, because I have a different way that I treat that, and that's included in the setting document. Most WotC material will probably be okay in greenlit, but just run it by me first, if you could, just so that I can make sure we're not going to run into any weird, those don't exist in Caldera or what have you. Anything that is third party, I want to have a conversation about. I want to make sure that it's going to be balanced and that it's going to fit and all that kind of stuff before I give it a thumbs up. Any place where the setting guide contradicts the rules for 5e, go with what's in the doc. There's not a ton of major changes, but if they do exist, then just default that direction and you should be fine. If something does contradict and you don't think it should, or you think something is amiss, and it doesn't seem balanced or it's broken or whatever, again, just bring it to my attention. We'll have a conversation about it and we'll figure out how to proceed from there. I did want to touch on firearms in particular, because the biggest funkadelic with them is that proficiency and how that works. So anybody who is proficient with light crossbows has proficiency with handguns. No, with shotguns. They are the easiest to use. They're the most universal. They're available to the most people. If you have proficiency with hand crossbows, then you have proficiencies with handguns. If you have proficiency with heavy crossbows, then you have proficiencies with long rifles. The only people that have proficiency with artillery, cannons, and Gatling guns are people who have the soldier background. So that doesn't mean that you cannot use a gun that you're not proficient with. It just means literally you won't add your proficiency bonus into the attacks with that type of weapon. Cool. As far as character generation goes, we're going to go with 3rd level. So that's where we're going to start. Use either standard array or point buy as far as generating your stats. For hit points passed first, go ahead and roll. If you get less than the average, the listed number in the brackets, then just go with the average instead. So you'll get at least the average every level, with the possibility of getting higher. Obviously, you get your starting gear plus 300 gold to spend how you see fit. before the start of the game. So speaking of characters, I know a few of you had some ideas. Does anybody want to go over those? Talk about who we might meet in this story of ours?
So just a few quick things before we jump into that. I'm going to take this meeting over. No, no, so one, I think we had all kind of aligned, but I just want to make sure we're all good since I think this is the first time we're all on talking together. Oh my goodness, it's so magical. Is like I know that a couple of us have talked about this being not necessarily the whitest of white hat campaigns as far as like that. So just want to make sure everybody's on the same bar and what that means to everybody would be kind of cool. Like how dark are we going? Like is someone like, oh yeah, no, this is like my character's evil. Okay. Or is this more just kind of good times, bad times, hard times for all kind of a thing? Because I'm not going full evil. Like I'm not, well, I have the option, I guess, but I wasn't leaning that direction yet. But I haven't ran an evil campaign, so who knows?
I wasn't leaning that way either, but more like outlaw or gray area.
Cool.
Yeah. Chaotic neutral.
You're screwed. 5 chaotic neutral people all going to be.
Yep. Chaotic neutral needs must.
Yeah.
Head signal, y'all are doubling up. But yes, that's kind of the way that I took. Yeah, I kind of took what y'all were saying, kind of in our chat to mean was kind of a gray morality. You're not exactly the dastardly type necessarily, but your scruples might be a little light. So yeah, if everybody is okay with that, then that's the way that I'll build the campaign.
I mean, genuinely for me, when I think about like a Western campaign, the biggest thing for me that I've played that I love is Red Dead Redemption, right? So like I love Red Dead, and Red Dead has a lot of that like moral ambiguity to it. So I like that because the idea of us being like a posse that isn't necessarily on the grain of bad or evil, but is basically making strides to just keep themselves afloat or keep themselves alive and like attain the things that they need for them. That to me is a fun thing because you get to explore a lot of interpersonal moralities and things like that. Like how does one character see a situation versus how another character might see or attack a situation. And I think that's an interesting aspect to this campaign that I don't think I've explored in a lot of other campaigns, which is just like, hey, we don't have to go full good. We don't have to go full bad. We get to ride the lines and veils of what does that mean for us, and maybe that
find a ship, find a job, keep flying.
Yeah. But maybe that also leads to like the really cool stuff of like betrayal between each other, and I kind of love that. I kind of love that, like not knowing knowing what the motivation of us as a group is, yes, but like not knowing the interpersonal motivations of each character. That's also very cool for me because that like helps us blend and learn each other.
So on that note, like I think we all talked about that in the chat a little bit. The want for it to be like not. And then at a bar or saloon, in this case, I guess you went to a saloon and 5 weary travelers come together to, figure out what we're gonna do next. Nothing against that. It happens at a lot of games. I run my games that way sometimes, so I get it. But that I'm all for that, by the way. But I think that it doesn't might like. Do we want to put that back on us? And do we want to get together and be like, instead of being like, okay, Jeremy, I know Todd's character because of, we grew up together in the bayou. It's more like, no, this is why the five of us have been traveling together and we just came off of this job and you tell us where we're going. And we may already have it worked out between the five of us, who's mad at each other, who's what motivations, like, hey, I may not tell you my backstory, obviously, but I might tell you, hey, my character is going to be pushing for us to do this a lot. And whoever's the lead or whoever's the face might be getting tired of hearing that bullshit, and that kind of thing. Like, I'm fine with running that and then giving Jeremy whatever aspects he wants of it, because I think one of the things Jeremy enjoys from the last game that we all got to do is the collaborative storytelling. So we get to bring some of that in for him and with him. I think he gets to relax and have a snack halfway through sometimes.
Yeah, like as of right now, I have about 2.5 pages of handwritten notes and a folder full of images that I have saved, that kind of spoke to me, but none of them have been named except for the town of Thunder Ridge. That is literally the only thing that I have as like I'm putting a pin in the map, as like the majority of this game will probably take place in and around that town. And that it is in the mountains, and that winter will happen at some point. So as long as those things can still be true, I would love for you all to decide how much else you want to give me before I go to work.
How much? So I know that in the source, I don't know if I know anything anymore. But no, in the source documentation, right, for this aspect, it was that is it the mountains or is it like the Caldera ridge lines? Where are the artifacts being uncovered? And like, so where's the gold rush occurring? And is Thunder Ridge like right at the gold rush on the forefront of it, like where prospectors are, or is Thunder Ridge like the last stop of the Yukon? Like,
right. So the Caldera itself is where like the highest concentration would probably be, but it was kind of it was the worst devastated of the ancient kingdom. So there are still a lot of places to find claims and things like that all around it. And
so I think that aspect was one of the things I was looking for with the character I have in mind, is the sort of like looking for having the reason to hunt out more of that stuff, and it ties in with so I guess for the group, I'm looking at playing most likely I'm going to go with the Evoker, basically full wizard build for right now, at least. All blast, no, all blast, all glass, right? Because I'm also wanting to do it more along the lines of because of the intelligence on the frontier aspect, more of the Doc Holliday semi-charismatic, intelligent, but just over every aspect of it, just like, this fucking place, but at the same time loves the area and loves the place. It's not that, it's more the intrusion into the place, right? And like the lack of people with the understanding kind of a deal, but also having fun with it and completely unhinged when it comes to certain triggers. But yeah, so I'm thinking full caster for me. I don't know if anybody else is looking to go that route. I'm also got a couple other ideas, so happy if someone else is like, oh no, I'm loving full caster.
It sounded like we had a bunch of people who were leaning kind of in a spell slinging kind of direction. Chad, it looks like, or other Chad rather, you have it looked like you had an idea at least.
I mean, technically my class can sling some spells, but I wasn't planning on using it that way. I was looking at going Artificer Armor Smith,
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah, and I was talking about going gunslinger, spellslinger kind of thing, but yeah, more of the gunslinger build.
Right. And again, like, there's nothing wrong if everybody wants to go with like a heavy, like, spellcasting group. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And I'm sure that we could even make that into some kind of like narrative story point if that's what ends up happening. So yeah, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from stacking up class at all.
Okay. So on that note,
I don't think we have any class.
yeah. Who do you think we are?
That's why we
Jeremy?
get along.
Who do you think we are? We come to this table for just crass entertainment, sir. No.
Tip your waitress.
Tip your waitresses, ladies and gents. No, I think that on that note, I was leaning toward two of my favorite classes, Warlock or Cleric. I was either going to go Grave Cleric and or Gallow Tree Warlock because I really enjoyed the Gallow Tree design. Yeah. So I was gonna do Gallow Tree Warlock or go Cleric and do Grave Cleric, just because it also fit, and I thought, man, we might need a healer. Like race wise and character wise, I've been eyeing the Buzzard. I've been eyeing the Buzzard Aarakocra. That's pretty much all I've like hunted down for like the last week since we started talking about this. And my brain went to mechanically, the Aarakocra had left me wanting something more. I know we talked about it and we're seeing if I could potentially lean a little bit more into like Owlin mechanics, since Owlin are a thing. And then maybe like just reskinning the Buzzard under Owlin mechanics. And
yeah, I don't know what the Owlin comes with as far as like their abilities.
So I can
like
read
if
that
a
off
reskin covers it, then that's fine with me. And if we need to like swap, one thing, like I don't know, the ability to turn their head around backwards or some shit, I don't know. Then we can find something appropriate. I'm sure.
Mechanically, it's not like game breaking. It's not like
they just can't be killed. Not in any reasonable way.
It just says they win everything.
So Owlin, they get pretty much came around the same time as Tasha's. So you get the ability score increase. You get to increase one ability score by 2, and then increase a different one by 1. You can choose to be a medium or a small size. Your walking speed is 30 feet. You have dark vision and flight, and you have silent feathers, which gives you proficiency on your stealth checks. And your flight is equal to your walking speed. So I would have a flight of 30 feet. And it says you cannot use walking or flying speed if you're wearing medium or heavy armor. I plan on, since I would be either a warlock or a cleric, I don't really plan on rocking heavy armor on this unless I go cleric. If I go cleric, I will probably change to a different race. But if I go warlock, it's probably going to be this.
So it's mentioned something about there being like stealthy, like flight stuff.
Yes, so it's called silent feathers.
Okay, is that something that you're keen on having? Because to me, that doesn't necessarily fit a buzzard because they're not predatory birds. But
they're carrying.
Right. If you're okay with it, removing that and adding a resistance to disease.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Instead.
That's perfectly fine. That would just
basically steal it from the dwarves instead of it being poison, it's disease.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
That's super
I could keep the silent for mine.
You're also doing Aarakocra, right?
Owlin is what we were talking
Owlin,
about.
Right. Yeah, okay. And are you actually an owl or?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Lots of animals this time around.
At least that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think we were all talking about being some form of predator,
bestial predator kind of thing.
That's kind of what it was sounding like.
Yep.
Except for someone.
Yeah, I'm bringing.
I'm gonna have to change. Yeah, I was leaning towards rock gnome.
That's a predator.
Listen, rock gnome is still a predator. I don't care who you are. Rock gnomes are fucking
If
crazy.
everybody's like anamorphic, then I gotta jump on that train.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a necessity.
Coyote.
There could be a really good reason why this one rock gnome is like in this group of all animals.
Hell yeah, dude! Like, there's got like that's a freaking cool.
We can make anything
character
work.
Trait though, like if you're like, I have a storyline. Let me tell you, this is some crazy shit. I'm with a bunch of these crazy anthropomorphic creatures. They're nuts. I love it. Yeah, that's super cool. I think that's neat. But yeah, if I go cleric, I probably will not go Kokra. But if I go cleric, I don't know. There's something that appeals to me. All of the anthropomorphic like character ideas are so cool to me, dude. Like, I don't know why, but they speak to me in ways that I can't explain.
Well, and it works really well with the Caldera in particular, because there was such the area was inundated with magic so much, and it's basically kind of like a magic radiation, if you will. So these weird races springing up, only since the Sundering happened, makes sense as to like why all of these animals have now developed the ability to become sentient and walk around and wear clothes and do normal people things. So it fits.
Yeah, I'll think about it, but it might be
also, not to persuade you, but a cleric of the grave who is also a buzzard.
Hell yeah.
That fits pretty well. Like this undertaker who's like a vulture.
Yeah, dude.
That's some good sauce.
Meet your maker, son. Yeah. No, I'm down
Furry
for
Ridge.
either of those.
It's awful.
Hey, we love you. You put that in front of us. Gave us the option.
This is all of your doing.
Oh, I know. Oh, I'm
just telling you
100%
that.
sure.
All right.
But no, I'm excited. I love the idea of having, like, I don't know, I like the idea of all of us kind of having these interpersonal relationships with each other, and like having that something about a cowboy posse, to me, like having those deep-seated bonds like is important. Having rode around for a long time with each other, having done multiple jobs, that kind of thing, like there's a reason and intention that all of us are here. And maybe some of us have been together longer, some of us have been together maybe a brief time, but we're all in it for one reason or another. And so I'm digging it.
Yeah, that's very much kind of a staple of the Western genre in particular, and fantasy too, for that matter. But the crew that has proven themselves, to one another, through thick and thin. You may not like each other, but you can at least rely on one another in a bad spot. So I think that all fits really, really well, and it also helps that the game's function, the engine of it, kind of depends on the five of you having the ability and the compunction to work together. Okay, anybody else have any character ideas you want to toss out there?
If we can find something that works, I'm looking at being a bard, a coyote bard, actually, kind of playing off the null aspect.
That's right. Yeah, I need to take a look at some of the links that were thrown around the other day and kind of see if we can find one. Have you circled around on one that you like the most out of that grouping of them?
not really.
Okay, we got time.
I kind of waiting and trying to settle specifically on something.
Sure.
I mean, if we find something that works, then that's most likely the route I'll go. I have a couple of other ideas if that doesn't work.
Cool. So it sounds like maybe 2 wizards, possibly 2 warlocks, maybe a cleric instead. Or no, a bard. You said bard, warlock, or cleric. And what were you playing, other chat again? The rock gnome artificer. Artificer. Yeah.
Rock gnome, I guess, is valuable at the moment.
Question
Everybody
mark,
else has fur now and
Rock-
feathers, so
A fuzzy gnome.
I think we can. I think we'd tie it in easy. Like, I mean, just
Oh,
think
I'm not
about what
saying
we
that I
talked
could,
about there.
but
You know, no, I mean, like even with the group. So just to clarify something with what we're talking about with that, Chad, like, is when we first talked for the wizard aspect, I imagine for the sorcerer and the warlock, but for the wizard aspect, I thought it was more like military tie in would be more common.
So yeah,
Or-
the only licensed practitioners of arcane magic typically are the people who have studied at one of the universities back east. So possibly military, because military certainly employs arcane spellcasters, but not necessarily. You could just simply be a student, who graduated or whatnot. Or you could come from a wealthy family, and that's how your family obtained a license for you, and now you're out here for whatever reason. So it doesn't have to be intrinsically linked to military service, but there would be a lot of overlap between them.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try that tie in. So if anybody else is looking for that, looking more the AWOL-ish soldier for a reason.
you and me, bro.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, same. I have a wealthy family, went to the school. I used to work for them, seeking out these treasures and stuff. And I've seen the atrocities that they commit, and now I'm on the other side.
Awesome.
Nice. Cool. So that could probably be a PC connection between the two of you.
And then on the other thing too, Jeremy, like,
Mhm.
are we able to, like, because I really want to make sure I understand the tie-in, because I want to make it a big part of, there's aspects of the world that I want to make sure are a big part of the character influence and background.
Okay.
Can we book like a half hour or an hour? Do you have like availability for us to be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking? And then that way, because I love working on worksheets and stuff. I do it for a living. But I'm way better in a room. So I'd much rather be like this, and that means this, and then we can build that idea together for backstory and go run. That way, I think if we do that, and then I'll want to set up with the group here just informally, right? I have multiple options with which we can host a video meeting, not to disparage or influence anyone towards decisions that they may want to make towards which ones they use. We are having a lovely time here on Zoom. Thank you, Microsoft. But free club, free promo. Instead,
not sponsored.
Not sponsored. I'll set up for us to meet up if we want to, and like, sometime. I don't know how everybody else's schedules are like, but we can build off of that without Jimmy knowing. And then go from there.
Sure, absolutely. Yep,
but I actually love the super like heavy spellcasty tie to this. It's now we're not going to be able to sneak through many places.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So let's talk alternate characters. Since I don't know how, I feel like we might be squishy and didn't hear a whole lot of healing.
If Chad goes cleric.
But I mean, I think that we can work it out no matter what, right? Like, I'm all for the vials of whiskey or potions or whatever to, be bloodied and constantly trying to. I mean, I think it's an outlaw version of burst damage, and like, we're not in the long combats. We're either blowing it up and getting the hell out, or we won. Yay.
I have some infusions that I get a hand out. to people's items, so I'll figure out which ones are best for your characters. And I get like 4, and I can only have 2 for myself, so I have to give out 2. So, and then I'm thinking probably like a bag of holding as my magic item, so we can have stuff.
Oh,
something.
I missed the magic item in the notes. Was it just
No,
one?
that's I get to make one as an artificer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I was going to ask about the prevalence of fake, real, whatever magic items and like pricing and stuff. Because like hand crossbow pricing, usually in a lot of games it's kind of hard to find them necessarily to come into that. But is there anything we should look for? Is it just kind of standard 5e pricing for things? And can we use some of the gold on magical things?
Yes, absolutely. You can use it to buy magic stuff, as long as the pricing works. And yeah, for the most part, everything price wise will probably just go with the 5e listed price. But there are prices for firearms and dynamite and things like that in the setting document that will override what's listed in the DMG for firearms and things like that. That should hopefully have it more setting appropriate.
And you had talked before about magic can be applied to weapons, right? Like they have 3 slots or something like that. So kind of like a harbinger.
Yeah,
deal.
actually, it actually is very similar to Harbinger. So every firearm has 3 slots: the action, the handle, and the barrel. I think, if I'm remembering right. And each one of those can be enchanted, essentially, but it's not as simple as just like pumping a spell into one part of the weapon. Typically, what needs to happen is to have found an artifact that had the enchantment on it. So a +1 dagger or something like that from some claim that you have found somewhere, and taking it to somebody named somebody called a Mage Right in the system, which are illegal unless you track down one of the very few people who does so legally. And they basically take the +1 dagger that you brought them, they put it through a ritual where they strip the enchantment away from it, which destroys the item, and put it into the new item. A lot of times what that involves is like a transfer of the materials. So like the +1 dagger might be melted down and made into the barrel of the gun, and then that gun would have a +1 to it, that kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah, no auto duping hacks. You can't drop the gun and pick it up and have 2 guns. Real long. Now, real quick question. Thinking for the wizard, and we had talked. I think we're already aligned on the kobold for the Fennec Fox.
Yeah.
Wizard that comes in is straight over, because I'm not really using too much of their. I use Tasha's for the distribution, anyways.
Right.
But shotgun on a 50-pound, 3-foot tall. I mean, I'm gonna fly across the room. Would you allow to say like similar? Because again, they have light crossbow, but not hand crossbow, and I'm fine with that. I'm not a gunslinger. I'm thinking more like belly gun, like Derringer, similar. Just do lower. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's even a Derringer on the list as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's much more of a. If I'm bringing the Derringer out, we're fucked anyway.
But again, like small creature, if you're using a shotgun, like I'm not gonna be a dick about it. Like maybe your shotgun is a 410 as opposed to a 20 gauge or whatever, but
So I can't use it as an alternative to Misty Step.
Use a
Burn
shotgun
an action and just shoot myself
force someone
30 feet
else
in the
to
other
miss.
direction.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe
myself across the room. That would be nuts. Just
so I fire my yeet gun.
Actually, that would be kind of funny. That would be really funny.
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to reskin that somehow to where you have a particularly large bore shotgun or something, and when you fire it, it has a misty.
I don't want to take the potential
effect.
damage when you're like, oh, you fired it, and you're only 22 feet from the wall. So
fair. Ooh,
Tell me
there's
how
a
you stop
set
5
of
feet in.
antlers on that wall. No.
Falling damage.
Yep.
The setting
Cool, okay.
almost calls for me to go gunsmith.
To go what? Gunsmith?
Yeah, or artillerist or whatever they call it. But then you have to have this bot that you have to keep track of and all this. So I'm just gonna go over there.
Okay. Is there anything else? Any other questions that anybody has, or anything that they want to go ahead and try to bring up now?
I think it goes without saying, right, Jeremy? I don't think any of us are min-maxing this game. Like, I think we're all just sort of
Oh yeah.
building shit to. I mean, I hope none of you are counting on me doing it, because I am playing to see if I can find the boundary for Jeremy, where he's like, okay, shenanigans, pull back now.
Oh,
You know.
Okay, that's your intention to
I
break
see.
the game.
Well, I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna out do anything improper, but sometimes certain things call for different levels of decorum.
Certain levels of decorum are needed in times of distress.
It is important that we
Amen to that,
maintain.
sir.
Yes, indeed, it is important that we maintain. Certain
If
standards.
you're looking to cross,
I love it.
if you're looking to cross the line with me, name your character something stupid.
Oh,
That'll
well,
definitely
okay.
cross the line with me.
wow. Okay, you just opened up Pandora's
That's
box for
sack
me,
and quack.
Jeremy. Thanks.
Oh yeah, now I just have to find something that when you say is stupid, I can be like, wow, that's
Mhm.
it's not very progressive. That's hurtful. Yeah,
That's,
I mean, check
that is one of the reasons I advocate. A lot of people talk about the DM language. It's the yes and, yes but, no but. There are times when a GM absolutely should reserve the right to say no. Period.
Not in my damn world. Let me check.
Yep.
Nope, I still created this bitch. It's
That's
mine.
right. Exactly.
Does Vulture Tiddlywinks work for you, sir? Because I will play Vulture Tiddlywinks all day.
What about nicknames? Like
Nicknames is fine.
Big Scorpion
fine.
Milker, like 43. I'm working my way up the list.
That's the top of the bottom.
I'm on number 43 going up. Like,
okay.
To 1. Yeah, it's a very competitive field.
The top of the list is improvements or worse?
It comes down to basic volume, like how much you can get in a day,
How many characters
dying.
you're allowed?
Yeah, no, it's scorpion milking. That's all. We're just going to keep milking this scorpion.
I see.
See what we can get. It's the single most valuable liquid you can get, as we learned
per gallon
in the lobby.
Hey, I have a question for the group. I mean,
Sure.
and maybe this leans out to how the classes ultimately pan out. In every posse, there's got to be a leader. There's got to be someone who takes the leadership role and position. Like clearly, I don't know if it'll be shown right now, but as we talk about it, at some point somebody's got to take that reign, and then slowly taper down to what does each person offer the group. Like one thing I love about like when you play Red Dead, all of your party members in Red Dead, they offer something, right? Like if you play Red Dead Redemption 2, like Dutch is clearly the leader of that particular posse. Arthur is the second in command. There's and then each person at the camp offers their own individualized like specialties to what they do going forward. And it's like, if that's kind of what we're aiming to encompass, we're going to need to find some level of hierarchy within.
And I think that's important for us to work out for sure on that too. The one thing I don't want anybody to feel like they have to take the role, right? We can be a band of misfits if we need to be, right, to come into it. Because I know some people come into it looking like, oh, I really don't want to be in that group. Or I also want to encourage anybody. Remember, you don't have to. I have never in my life picked up like 285 pounds, but I have sure as shit rolled characters that have. So if you're like, I want to be the leader, but I don't know, like, look, cool. That's role play. Work it out. Right. So anybody who's interested from a character perspective, like jump on it because I'm going to take this opportunity to volunteer to be the one that is more like, why do we keep them again? Oh, right. Because occasionally they blow shit up for us. Right. But might be might be a little more trouble than I'm worth.
See, because when I was thinking of my character, I was going to lean in the leader perspective, but I didn't want to take the role unless it was like something that was agreed upon, right? Like
Well,
I was gonna go offer it up and say, hey, I'd like to do that, but I don't want to take that away from anybody being able to.
we have played a
that
one shot, 90 hours. We have played together.
90-hour one shot. Yes, sir. You are correct.
No, but no,
Once a
like
day.
we're not shy. If you want to run with it, man, is anybody else like, oh shit, I want to be leader? And then we can have a leader fight. Those are great. It's sporks and
Full
like
on
tape
duel.
together, yeah, the way you do
Full
it.
on duel. Yeah. We'll
But
have
and here's the thing, the dynamic can shift. Like
Yeah.
we can talk and keep like the one thing I'm excited about is how much like good RP came like just off the cuff last time
Yeah.
for everybody
Yeah.
in that, right?
Agreed.
And
100% agreed.
and this time the nice thing is like we're way more used to each other on chat and everything else. Nathan will
Mhm.
bring you along and make you have to, you're already comfortable in dropping in on chat and stuff with it now too. Like
I
I'm
mean,
all
I've
for,
already
like,
played with a couple of you anyways,
Yep.
so
That's true,
I'm good.
yeah.
so now it's like, we can work. It doesn't like, I don't feel like everything has to be a huge secret because I think all of us can RP the character slightly different than
Sure.
what we're building to. And I'm not talking about scene setting, like, oh, we're going to have this happen and Jeremy's going to make it work. I'm just talking more a lot, we can get into like the whole, like, yeah, I think we'd probably be pissed at each other for this, or I think that, this is the background. Yeah. And
Agreed.
go with it from there.
I'm thinking, I don't know. For me, especially I there's something about both like the cleric and warlock thing where I'm getting like the Undertaker-ish vibes where his goal is like that of the Gallow Tree. He's like, look, I'm a bounty hunter. Either I'm a bounty hunter. I'm leading this group to go like either one for salvation purposes, right? Leading people to some form of justice, hard justice, or more along the lines of like the boogeyman you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley level, but like I'm struggling on what line do I want to cross into being like, how far do I want to go where it could possibly be villain or it could possibly be a good guy, right? Like I'm struggling mentally on where I want to lie in that realm, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I'll let him shut up and let everybody else go here in a minute for sure. It's more that I think for me, it's not like I'm a villain by any stretch, but like it's more like the guy who's like, no, I've seen some things and done some shit, and none of this matters, and you all are fucking crazy for thinking it does, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly. Like I'm numb to caring anymore because I've put enough bodies in a grave that
right, and I'm
like,
yeah. So I think that's a good fit for it too. I think that my character would be very much like working with someone like that because mine is more military related, that sort of fish out of water kind of thing for backgroundish kind of thing. Shouldn't be. And again, am I wrong in that, Jeremy? Did you say most of the anamorphic races, or I don't know what they call them now, personifications? I think they were saying they're going to get rid of the term race in D&D 5e, and I'm okay with that. I just don't know what they call it.
Oh yeah, people, kin, something like that.
Kin, yeah, whatever. The animal. Now I can't say the word. Damn it!
I know what you're talking about.
Anthropomorphic.
The animal people.
The people. I can't even say it now that you said it now. Anyways, the peoples who look like not peoples but animals, but only certain animals, as Hogan didn't like. Those ones, right? Those were more the First Nations group aspect, right? Or are those also like very common in the cities and high society?
So they would be more concentrated in the area around the Caldera and in the Caldera itself. You wouldn't see a lot of them back east. It would probably be similar to seeing like a First Nations North American in England kind of thing. It's not that they're not there. It's just they would have been brought back as like an exhibition type situation a lot of the time.
That fits where I was going with background and the bitterness and a bunch of other stuff for the character I was going with on it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
okay. That matches.
Yeah, a lot of the anthropomorphic animals that didn't go far from where like their ancestors first gained sentience or whatever would be mostly in the Caldera. Because the Caldera was left kind of wild for so long after the cataclysmic, event. So they developed ways of living that were more in tune with nature, which, obviously the people now coming into the Caldera with a colonialist mindset don't see that as being civilized. So yeah,
and then the nature of the cataclysm is unknown, right?
Yeah, just that it was basically magic was to blame. Most of the Eastern people believe that the ancient Dorathians like were too cavalier with their relationship with magic. That it was just it was used every day, wasn't really questioned, it wasn't really cautioned, and that's why this happened. To teach them a lesson. It's karma or whatever that caused it into being. And so that's part of the reason why there is such a large like demonization or like distrust of arcane magic. It's a very Eastern mindset. Cool.
No, that's all I got. Sorry. Anyone else want to be leader?
All of that talk kind of brought up a couple questions for me.
Sure.
One of which is a sensitive topic for certain gaming groups, and that is interparty conflict. How do we feel about that? Is that a no-no? Is that a be careful spot?
Nathan, I will tell you this from my experience with Jeremy, because legitimately Jeremy can tell you this. I don't think we've ever been in a game, the two of us, I don't think we've ever played characters in a game where we didn't harass, berate, or like legitimately
fuck you, Chad.
Like fuck you, guy. Okay, like legitimately, the thing is, if that kind of interpersonal stuff doesn't happen, I feel like it's not a full character. I feel like it's not
conflict. I can't take the conflict. I need you to settle down.
I need conflict resolution. Help.
I think the big thing that we're all getting to in this is like, if you feel like you're not in a scene with it, you're done. Like, raise your hand, we're out. Right?
Yeah,
if you feel like, or if the scene gets wet, like if you feel it's not me saying to your character or my character saying to your character that thing, or just random, like we all love each other, ball busting, like, and non whatever specific thing you want to busting, then it's then like speak up. And none of us are here to make anybody feel bad. And if our day-to-day bullshit's rolling through and getting into it, then we'd rather stop and figure out why someone's acting that way.
But interpersonal conflict, I think, when you're talking about like in character interpersonal conflict, like PvP-ish kind of stuff, like in a Western, that's actually like that's to me that fits the setting. That is something that is required almost, where it's like, listen, it's a hot ass desert. Things are gonna be, things are gonna be hot. Things are gonna be tumultuous, and nerves and tensions are going to be high, especially if, let's say, we rob a train or whatever happens, like whatever happens within this setting. Like, I want to have the other characters bring me that conflict and push back and then like us also push back, but then also agree to disagree and like
Right.
go and work on the thing.
Very, very much the everybody here seen Django yet? I don't want to spoil a movie that's been out for like 9 years. Sorry, spoiler alert. Everybody on there, probably more than that. It's like the 20th anniversary of Django or some shit just came out. Spoiler alert, everybody, for an amazing movie you should have seen a long time ago. There's the scene where they're like going to ride down and they're all in the hoods. Like that kind of conflict, I 100% will be initiating. Well, see, you cut fucking holes in this goddamn thing. My wife spent all goddamn day cutting holes in these bags for you ungrateful bastards. You know, that kind of thing.
Love that scene.
Is gonna happen left, right, and left and center. If you're gonna try to kill me, like I would like maybe to have a few work up scenes to get there, right? Like we should probably like make sure it's not just out of the blue, but like so I'm gonna assume if you're going, we're gonna be non-lethal.
I pulled my shotgun and immediately fire.
Like I am all for inter-party conflict. I love it, and I think that a game can thrive where that is an option. But I also have seen that go off the rails, and it makes it if it gets to the point where the game itself takes a hard turn because of it. To me, I think that that's problematic. If it's going to cause someone to leave the group, or for it to make sense for their character to leave the group, or to change the course of what they were already doing, then I think that that's a little too hard for me. Like, draw down on each other, give threats, give each other shit, maybe even throw some punches sometimes. But yeah, don't like decide, well, fuck you, I don't want to do that, so the two of us are now going to split off and form our own gang. Because obviously that's detrimental to the game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the answer I was hoping for. I mean, by just so I'm clear, by interpersonal conflict or inter-party conflict, like I'm not planning to just pull out my gun and start shooting, party members or anything like that. But I have noticed through playing through Curse of Strahd and now our Middle Earth game with the same people and having the same group along and like building up that player DM trust, that we've started to dip into the inter-party conflict, and that has led to some of our best roleplay moments.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, we're not doing it to the point where it's like it doesn't make sense for the party to stay together. Like it's always something that can be worked out some way.
Right.
Yeah, it's either character motivation or like survival motivation for the character. So you're not doing it just to do it.
Right.
Yeah. And
100%.
I just like some and I've seen that happen in Jeremy's game, but I know some players don't like that. I know some DMs don't like that. So I kind of want to throw that out there to make sure before anything like that happens.
Yeah,
especially since we already talked about like vying for leadership. If Chad's character is the leader, but somebody wants to quote unquote depose him or try to lead on something, I want to make sure that's an option before just stepping into it and everyone everyone being like, oh, okay, I don't like what's happening here.
No, I think it's a good idea to table that, to at least bring it out in the open and talk about it. And
two important things about that, right? The first of which is, I fully need my character to be able to instigate other people to fight each other. So yeah, gonna be doing that for sure.
Shitster.
I'm 3'6", intelligent and bored. Yeah, I'm gonna do that, right? I'm not fighting anybody. And two, just as fair warning, I have never seen a non-lethal fucking fireball. So don't push it, bitches.
I enjoy that I've played with Chad so many times that usually we always are kind of a little bit
the thing.
Comfortable being able to be like button heads, like comfortable with that. So.
It's gotten to a point where that kind of turmoil and tension comes out naturally, and I'm gonna find a way to pick it with everybody, I'm sure. To the point where you guys may not like me. Like if it is agreed upon that my character will take that sort of leadership stance, I'm gonna start
I will agree that my character will find it adorable that you are in charge.
I like the fact that you think that a 3-foot some fox is gonna look at like a 6-foot Aarakocra buzzard and be like,
I have
Bro,
already told Todd
got
my
you.
creature's affliction for certain creatures that he goes after. You are tiny, sir. Tiny in comparison to those things that are the apple of my eye.
very well.
I'm not
okay.
remembering what we talked about. Amazing.
I love this though.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting group. Whenever you all asked to play Caldera, I didn't have anything hard fast in mind, but it definitely was not a group of spell slinging outlaw monsters or creatures, like animal creatures.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I've
It's
played in
interesting.
Caldera one other time, right? And I played a tiefling gunslinger. And I think it was a tiefling gunslinger warlock, right? I think I played a warlock that had the firearms proficiency and I put sharpshooter and stuff on it, but like he was ridiculous and I still have his character sheet. But I was like, there's something about this game. I was like, I don't want to play a standard issue. Like, I don't want to play a standard issue class or standard issue race either. Like, I just don't want to do that.
All for it.
This is going to be me throwing my head into some weird stuff and saying, let's ride the weird stuff and see what comes out. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm for it. Go ahead, Nathan.
Sorry. I guess my other question then is kind of what are you guys looking for, like, tonal wise? Like, are we
good question
leaning into like spaghetti Western territory? Are we leaning into, goofy Western? Are we looking to be more dark and serious? I mean, because I like Chad said, I've played one other session of Caldera as well, and there's literally in the game a scene of my character throwing off a poncho, getting ready to fight the final boss, and his sidekick being like, "Is it time to fight?" And my guy's like, "Yes, I told you to stop asking that. You saw me throw off my poncho." Like, are we going, kind of that direction, or kind of a mixture of all of that? Or
I think
that's
I don't know that question. It is a good question, but I remember back to what we did sort of last game, right? Like, we had like the basis of tone, but like I think we all found the groove, right? Like, I think I will say that compared to last time where like my character was more, spoilers, you should go back and watch it. It's fucking amazing. But where my character was, strongly that family and that tie back to sort of like all aspects of that, from the gang all the way down to the daughter through, and that sort of commitment to that. That is not, I'm way more like, I wonder what this is gonna do kind of feel right this time. So like I am definitely not going to be as calculated, or as, I'm not saying I'm not going to be like, I'm not Animaniacs on this one going in, but like it is definitely more, we're wizards. And we're in a magic world. I'm not going to do taxes.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you have something you wanted to add, Todd?
I was just going to say, I mean, I think there probably is comedic moments between all of us, but I don't necessarily think that it is the slapstick, Three Amigos kind of Western. It's
right.
Maybe not as hard and gritty as Deadwood or something like that, but
I was going to say
Magnificent Seven from like 2000.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. As far as like what I've kind of been envisioning in my head is probably something tonally, at least the general tone is probably in line with the newest Magnificent Seven remake. But that being said, I am certain that there will be Three Amigos moments, and I am certain that there will be the Revenant moments. Maybe not Bone Tomahawk levels of darkness, but maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say,
even make you cry.
Bone Tomahawk is like...
Bone Tomahawk is a hard watch.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
rough fucking film. I'm never going to watch that movie again.
Yeah,
Never.
you watch it once and you have to go bleach your eyes afterwards.
Yeah.
For quality or
No, it's a fantastic film, but like
The content's very dark.
yeah.
Very dark.
oh
it goes real hard.
oh
Yeah. Yeah.
Real hard.
I mean, honestly, between a Jeremy game, Chad being in the game, and to be honest, me being in the game, I don't expect there to not be humorous moments. I just wasn't sure, like, are we leaning that direction, or are we kind of like, because
Like-
I'm fully okay with running the gambit of having, you know, those funny spaghetti western moments, and then having those dark, you know, kind of redneck style moments. I'm
here's the
cool
thing.
with all that.
I love all of those things though. I love spaghetti western slapstick. Like legitimately, I played in a so I don't know. I played in a setting called Westocalypse that was written by Joseph Sterling.
Yep.
For a long time. I played that campaign for a while. We played that for a long time. And in that campaign, I played a very similarly to this, but I played a echidna that was a gunslinger. He ended up becoming sheriff at some point and I based him off of Don Knotts, and that was super spaghetti western for me. And I had so much fun. And Jeremy, you were actually a guest in that game.
I did, yeah. I did
correctly.
as an NPC at one point.
Yeah. But that in that setting, it's a lot of mutations and stuff, and very, very cool. But definitely give it a look. The Westocalypse setting is pretty dang cool. But in here,
Agreed.
I genuinely think that there's gonna be. I wanna lean a little more dark. I want to lean a little more toward the Deadwood Westworld sort of darkness ish kind of jammy jam.
I can't read what it says.
Versus, you know, but also knowing this group, I know that there's gonna be that spaghetti western slapstick sort of like jabs and punches at each other, to
be absolutely honest, like longer than a one shot, I don't think I can run a game that doesn't dabble in both something really deep and dark and hopefully emotionally impactful, and also something that has moments of stupidity and levity to it. So yeah, I think it's probably going to run the gambit, whatever
Okay,
that word is.
That's going to help me shape my character in the end as well.
Sure,
kind of know what to go with it. Because I mean, the last time I played in Caldera, I played. If I'm not mistaken, his name was Sam Winchester, and it was not quite a white hat, but as close to the white hat cowboy that you can get without just, you know, being full on, you know, I do no wrong type of lawman kind of thing.
Yeah, and the nice thing about, you know, westerns is that it covers a very large range, you know, a very big spectrum, that all feels correct. So I think that I think that we'll figure it out. Most of us have either played together or know, you know, that the style of play that I think, you know, most people think of whenever it comes to westerns. And it sounds like a lot of us have been, you know, going back and rewatching westerns and things of that nature. So I think that we'll be all right. Yeah, I'm really, really, really excited. I want to shoot people. So, yeah, all you are probably gonna die. No, some of you might die. So have backup characters. No.
really try to do that.
Yeah, so like,
I'll have backup.
is this Yeah, is this a backup ready campaign? I'm fine with that.
No,
I'm fine.
I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that, but maybe. You never know. The nice thing about fantasy is, death doesn't have to be the end for a character.
Oh yeah, I'm also
So
love the worlds when it's like, oh yeah, you died. That sucks. It ain't the end. That just sucks
Exactly.
now.
Yeah, it's not going to be a pleasant thing, but your story may not be finished. So yeah.
Like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. First time? Yeah.
Yeah, the Ballad of yes, the Buster. Yes, I love that whole sequence.
Nice.
That-
That movie was amazing. I sat down not realizing that was an anthology.
Yeah.
And it started
Me
the second
too.
story, and I was like, wait a second. What the fuck is going on? But yeah, it was amazing. Cool. Does anybody have any other questions or concerns that they want to touch on here in the session 0 before we call it a night? No?
I mean, the only thing that I'm going to call out is like picture every stereotype that you, Jeremy, would want to see in a Western, right? We're talking like not just the things that the themes and the thematic elements that you would want to see in a Western. We're talking trains, we're talking big explosions, we're talking like the gun, like some sort of a gun duel. We're talking like horseback riding and or like the big bold sunset, right? Like those kinds of deals I'm all for, and I love it. I want
Put it on the
as
cope
many-
list.
I will. I'm gonna put it on there right after we're
That's
done.
what it's for.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Use
I'm
the hell out
gonna
of it.
legitimately like I'm gonna put it all out there, but every single stereotype that I can think of that I would want for a Western game, I'm gonna like paste it on there and be like, that's what I want. Those are the things that I want to see. How can we get all of those things? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then at some point we just take a hard left, and Jeremy has to be like, "What the?"
All right, now we're playing
Only
Westworld.
ever seen Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
So that is the intent.
I've only
That's
ever
100%
seen Blazing
of
Saddles.
what this game is going to be now. I'm so tired. R.I.P. Madeline Kahn. All right. Cool. Yeah. Again, like I know that we're gonna get there. I'm not overly concerned about it. I just wanted to make sure that we have stamped down a solid foundation as possible, so that we can build something beautiful on top of it. And I know that we're going to. So, yeah. As always, we have our chat so that if there are any questions that come up between now and session 1, that you can bring up, and we can address it as fast as we can. But yeah, I think other than slapping characters together and getting started, I think we're ready, y'all. I think we're ready.
How do you want us to send you characters? Just PDF or I have I've opened up the one on the site that we won't name because they're not paying us to use,
Right.
but that has access to certain source materials and whatnot.
Sure.
If anyone wants to use that, feel free. But also, I don't know if you just want us to send you PDF or whatever. You can send it to us in the chat. We'll work it out. Doesn't need to be online.
It
I'm just
doesn't
trying to
even
stretch content. You said that the last time we did this take, you said it was too short and we had to do it again. And I didn't want us to have to do another session 0, so I want to make sure we get the full time.
Follow the
Hey,
script.
I managed to do this night without any hiccups, technical
Yeah.
restarts, unlike the other night. So don't strip me of
man.
that.
It's
No, I don't have to have your characters ahead of time. If you want to share them with me and have me look them over, then I will be more than happy to. However,
So-
you want to send them to me.
We could all
But I don't
know
require it.
more about our group than you do.
and
Potentially.
then just throw it all in one document and send it to you.
Again.
Like, here's your homework. Read it.
Like, as far as like what spells you have, like I could give a shit, honestly. But
It's like you're not going to beat the desert froghemoth anyway.
but the kind of the kind of information that I want to know is how to hurt you, and like what matters most to you. Those are the things that I'm interested in.
What are your hit points and
because-
your HPs?
Yeah, because that's the
your
stuff that I'm
AC?
gonna squeeze. The combat and stuff, yeah, we'll get there. I'm not worried about that.
You
But-
are squishy.
Mhm.
He's already got plenty of ways to kill us.
Yeah.
Tasty wizards.
So 12
So, yeah, okay, cool. So I think we're gonna go ahead and call it an evening then. So if anybody happened to watch this, thank you very much. I hope that this was educational and maybe even a little bit entertaining. Catch us next month here on the channel for session 1 of Thunder Ridge. Hopefully it will be every bit as riveting as tonight was, maybe even a little bit more. Yeah. Remember that kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be nice to people, and dear God, the world needs more positivity in it right now. So if it doesn't cost you anything and it could possibly make the difference in somebody's day, why not be kind? All right. So I think we're done for the evening. I'm going to go ahead and say those magic words. Until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.